Okay, everyone, we are live with Mondays with Marc Headley.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing this again. So, hey guys, we're actually going to make this a Q&A video as opposed to us having some, big giant subject we want to talk about. I did do in the title featuring Tom Cruise because let's be honest, we're going to get to Tom Cruise eventually. So, why don't I just get the party started here by going, Marc Headley, you were famously you were the person that Tom Cruise audited when he was doing his Scientology auditor training at the international base. To the best of your knowledge, how did you get selected as the guy Tom Cruise was going to audit?
Um, well, I know exactly why because I know there was two of us. There was me and there was one other guy, and we had the unique qualification of never having done pretty much anything in Scientology counseling wise. So basically, when you start in Scientology and you become a student auditor and you learn how to do counseling, which is what Tom Cruise was doing in the early 1990s, you need a guinea pig to practice on, and it's usually a good idea if that person is not also a celebrity, because you don't if you mess that person up and then that person goes out into the real world and starts talking smack, um, then it's best to just have somebody who's like just no one's ever going to know about. And that was me.
Right. Okay, well, that brings up another question. How did you get to the int base without having had essentially any Scientology auditing?
um, that is not that this is a very good that's a really good question. The qualifications to go to the international headquarters of Scientology are mostly all criminal based. Like, you can't have been arrested, you can't have uh, committed any felonies, you can't have like you can't have done things that if found out that would reflect badly on Scientology. And because I was a kid, I mean, I joined the Sea Org when I was 15 years old. So I just hadn't gotten a chance yet. I probably would have if I could have, but I just hadn't had the chance to be up to that much no good as a kid. And I was also raised in Scientology. So I don't think any of the qualifications. I don't think any of the qualifications for the INT base are like Scientology progress based. They yeah, they don't. It's just like
True.
you can't have any like I'm trying to say things so that YouTube doesn't the algorithm doesn't go woohoo. You can't have had any male on male action or female on female action if you're into that sort of things. Those are instant disqualificators. You can't have taken LSD or mushrooms, I think. Angel
LSD.
dust, PCP, angel dust. Um, which was funny because when I was a kid, I knew about that. I knew that if you were a person not in the C organization and you had taken LSD, that you were automatically disqualified from any of the recruiters trying to recruit you. So when we would see recruiters, if I would be hanging out with my Scientology friends and we'd see some recruiters, because you knew the recruiters were always bird dogging the kids full time, all the time. If you went near a Scientology property and you were under 16, the recruiters knew you were there and they were coming to find you. Anyway, as soon as we saw them coming, I'd be like, LSD in 79. I would just shout that out and then just keep walking, just so they would be like, fucking. But I mean, I was 6 years old in 79, so probably didn't do LSD in 79, but they didn't know that. So
Yeah, in some respects, would you say it's not a matter of being qualified, it's a matter of not being unqualified?
that's exactly right. Yeah, that's a much better way to put it. And when I got, and this is the craziest part, is when I got to the Ent base, I'd never, to this day, I haven't read Dianetics, which is kind of like, if you're a Scientologist, you should probably read Dianetics. But I haven't. But I hadn't done any. I had some like student auditing before, which that was the other crazy thing. When they told me that Tom was going to be my auditor, I was like, I thought I already did all that. Like the stuff he was going to do on me. Another student auditor who, like a lady who was doing her I think she was doing what's called the briefing course, which is just like this years long course you do in Scientology to become like a professor of Scientology auditing. She was doing that in Florida, in Clearwater at Flag. And when I was doing courses there with my friend, I think in 1987, 1988, she did all the same auditing with me that Tom Cruise did, 5 years later. But anyway, when I was trying to do another course, there was a new course that had come out, and I was trying to do that course because I needed to, if you want to drive at the Int base, you have to do a course called Car School. You actually have to do a Scientology course on how to drive a car. Seriously, that's not a joke. And I wanted to do that course so I could drive. And they were like, no, you got to do this other thing, this auditing. I was like, what the fuck? I don't want to do any auditing. And I kept fighting it and I kept fighting it. And then finally, I think it was Marty Rathbun. He told me, listen, we need somebody for Tom Cruise to audit. You're not doing Car School. And I was like, oh, you should have led with that. They were like beating around the bush and trying to do all this other qualifying stuff.
So, Mark, let me ask you, did anyone ever sit you down and say, look, your job is to get through this auditing as quickly as possible? Like, be a good PC, say it's helping you. I mean, did anyone even encourage you sort of like bullshit your way through the auditing?
No, they didn't do that. They did. Marty did read me the riot act. Like, he said, Marty Rathbun, he said, because he was in RTC at the time. His post at the time was, I think his post at the time was Inspector General. So that's the person right under chairman of the board RTC. Marty Rathbun, I'm pretty sure at that time was Inspector General RTC. And he said, no one is to know that Tom Cruise is auditing you. Nobody you work with, nobody in your family. Like I was supposed to just disappear for a few hours a day and come back like nothing happened. Like I just went to some secret place to go study because everyone's supposed to study for 2.5 hours a day. I just would go somewhere else to study and nobody knew where that was.
What was the reason for that? I don't get it.
Because it was pretty much a secret. At that time, it was still kind of secret that Tom Cruise was there.
Oh, really? They were keeping his presence on the base? Kind of a...
Well, that was the idea. And also, obviously, outside of the base, of course, no one would ever know this. Like, my mom doesn't know to this day. My mom doesn't know. Nobody in my family, my sister knows because she was there at the international base, but my mom doesn't know that Tom Cruise audited me.
Unless she's seen your videos.
Yeah, which, if she has, you'd think she'd be out by now because I spilled enough tea that she would kind of maybe think twice, but she's a true believer. But anyway, yeah. So, but the funny thing is when one day, so Marty gave me this. Marty told me, you got to do this. You got to sleep. You got to eat. You got to be ready. Don't tell anybody. Blah blah blah. The first day I went for session, they have this test when you're going to get a counseling session in Scientology. You're supposed to breathe in, and you're supposed to breathe out. And when you do that, the needle on the e-meter is supposed to do something, an exact thing. And if it does it enough, then you're ready to go in a session. And it didn't do it. It didn't even move. And so Tom was like, oh, did you take your vitamins today? And I was like, like, I haven't taken vitamins this life, much less today. So, he was like, oh, we got to go get you some vitamins and this and that and bee pollen. he thought bee pollen was the magic trick to get that to do that. I don't know who told him that. But so he was like, get on my bike. We're going to go to the canteen on the other side of the property on his motorcycle. Let's drive to the other side of the property and go get some of this bee pollen. It was right during a meal break. And so, okay, I just got this briefing a week ago. No one's supposed to know that this mofo is auditing me. And now I'm just riding on the back of I'm riding bitch on the back of a motorcycle around a whole property while everyone's walking around on the way to meals. And then we go into the canteen. Everyone's in the canteen. It's a meal break. People are in there buying Cokes and Camel cigarettes, all that bullshit. And here I am walking around with Tom looking for bee pollen. And I'm sort of like, well, the cat's out of the bag now. Like, blame it on this dude, not me. This was his idea. Anyway, so of course, as soon as I got back to my work area, everybody's like, oh, what happened? What happened? Like, it spread around the property in like 5 minutes that I was his person. So
nice.
Anyway.
Well, it says here, Scientology is a policy against joking. You have a great sense of humor. Did you get in trouble at Golden Era Productions for joking around?
Every fucking day. Yeah, no, people would, you get a report written on you. In Scientology, there's a policy, and it's called jokers and degraders. And people who joke are, they're just like 5 steps away from Hitler. So, yeah, Scientology's not a big fan on people joking around. There's not a lot of Scientology comedians floating around.
Yeah. Okay, so this is similar to a question I was going to ask you, but then forgot to. What was your hardest Scientology issue to give up?
I'm drawing a blank on that one. I'm trying to think if there's something that's good. You might have to help me out with this one, Aaron. I can't think of diddly. I mean, when I left that place, I actually have a policy in my life. If they say to do something a certain way, I try the opposite of that way. And if that doesn't work, then I kind of slowly move back towards that. But I'm like in terms of their managing style, like the way they like Scientology takes micromanaging to I don't think there's another you could prove me wrong. There's another company somewhere that micromanages by the hour like Scientology does. There's nobody does that. It's the most ridiculous. Their administrative policies are the most ridiculous things that, like, if you tried to run a business with doing all that stuff, you've got to run it into the ground. There's no way you can just use their stuff. You'd have to supplant it with other stuff to kind of, unspike the deck. If you manage by the hour a company more than, 30, 40 people, you're probably going to have problems.
Yeah. For me, it's some behavioral things. And that also, I don't know 100% sure that Scientology is to blame. I mean, from an example of, I simply don't know how not to eat an entire meal in a minute. Like, I don't sit down and eat meals. I don't enjoy eating meals. It's not a process. Like, I barely chew my food.
Yeah, that's true. The view I took on the question was like something I loved that's hard to get up. But yeah, things that are bad that I couldn't give up. How about not sleeping or having to feel like I feel like if I'm not working that I'm a bad person. Like that's just built into me. I can't just, it's like in the past probably 5 years, I'm making it a point to go on a vacation every year, at least for a week, at least once, and do nothing for a week. And also I try to not work on the weekends if I can help it. I used to work 7 days a week, every day, all day. And so I think that's probably, I'd say that's one of I just can't not work. It's almost impossible. I'm always trying to do something. And I'm also, if I do work, I can't phone it in. It has to be 100%. It has to be amazing. If I do something that's crap, I wouldn't want to do it. Oh my God, why do you have to put that up? People bug me so many times. I should have never said I'm going to write another book. That's the problem. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'll do another book. I'm always trying to like work. I've pretty much got the whole thing. The way I wrote it, I screwed up the way I wrote it because like these certain milestones happen pretty much every chapter. A specific type of milestone happens, and I haven't been able to get those to stop happening.
What's wrong with them happening?
They're just continuation of the story. So the story is not able to end well because somebody be like, well, why didn't you put this in? I'd be like, well, that happened after I finished. So I keep adding these little things. But anyway, I'm working on it. It'll come sooner or later. Take it easy. I'm here right now talking to you. That's my book. That's my second book. See?
All right, let's check this one out. The Marvel Comics character Ximenu. Oh, geez, that's a total combination of what L. Ron Hubbard did, right? He pulled it from this thing, right?
No. Where is it? There. I am a big conspiracy theorist on this Xemu thing. I think Hubbard stole Xemu from Marvel. Xemu is a character in, I want to say, I think it's I have it somewhere, but it's either Spider-Man or Hulk. And it's before the OT3, like whatever the date is on the OT3 materials. This comic came out before that.
It really is Ximenu, which is crazy because L. Ron Hubbard said Xenu could be spelled both ways.
Yep, and that's the other reason why I think, why would you say that? Why would you say it could be spelled this way or it could be spelled that way? If there's an intergalactic dictator, I'm pretty sure he spells his name a specific way. He's an intergalactic dictator. He's not just some guy walking down the street. He's a major mover and shaker, and he spells his name an exact way. So the Xemu character in Marvel is Xemu, I think. It's not Z XEMNU. It's just XEMU.
It's XENMU.
In the comic, it is.
I'm looking at it right now, and it debuted in 1960.
And it's a Spider-Man?
Well, it says Journey into Mystery number 62. It doesn't say if that's Spider-Man, but it says that the character died in the Immortal Hulk number 33 in March 2020.
Yeah, he ended up fighting, I think he fought Hulk. But this is the thing. He's an alien, the Marvel guy. He's an alien, and he has mind powers. He can implant memories in your brain via his mind, which that's what Lord Xenu does, according to Hubbard. So OT3 was just before or during the Sea Org creation? Remind me. The Sea Org was 67, right? I think it was in the mid to late 60s, I think, is when all that stuff was kind of getting stirred up.
He literally stole it from a goddamn Marvel comic.
That's what I think.
There's no way he didn't.
I'm telling you, it's the timing is just too like, I don't know. And also, he was writing, that was his job, to write all that kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
That was his wheelhouse. The fact that the fact that his guy is so similar, I don't know, that just seems too weird to me.
I'm going to have to do a video just about that.
You got to. If you do all the similarities, you'll see. If there's a timeline. I think Tony Ortega, I told this to Tony Ortega one time, and he was like, well, there's a writing from 19 something that mentions Xenu that predates the comic. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
I wonder when L. Ron Hubbard wrote Mission to the Stars. Wasn't that the one that's kind of very similar to his OT3 story?
It's called Revolt in the Stars.
Revolt in the Stars.
And it is OT3. It's 100. It's basically like, so Battlefield Earth is also the same type of thing. Battlefield Earth is about the loyal, what?
He didn't write Revolt to the Stars until 1977. That was after OT3 anyway.
See, I'm telling you, you could deep dive it, but I'm pretty sure. That's another thing. Scientologists are not allowed to hear Xenu. If they hear Xenu, then they're in for a load of problem. So if you go into a Scientology thing and they say, oh, you watch some stuff on the internet, what did they talk about? And you say, oh, they just talked about, I don't know, some weird Lord Xenu. Oh, you're like, that's $10,000 right there. You're screwed.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, Jane Windish, do you, Mike, Leah, Mark, et al. Ever give yourself an hour or a day to not think about Scientology?
I don't think about science. I'm thinking about Scientology right now doing this for the whole rest of the day. I haven't been working on, I have a day job and it has nothing to do with this. The only time I'm really thinking about it is when I'm doing foundation, the Aftermath Foundation work, or if I'm doing something like this or doing a podcast for somebody. I mean, I try to, if somebody wants me to be on their podcast and talk about Scientology, I'll go on. For the most part, I'll do it. I've done a bunch of other podcasts and stuff that Sean Atwood, Patrick Bet David. I've done a bunch of other YouTube channels, and I've done probably 4 or 5 TV shows and a few movies. But for the most part, for the most part, I just live my life. I'm not thinking about them. I'm not worried about them. If something comes up that's crazy, I'll pipe up on Twitter and be like, no, these guys are full of it, or, something like that. But for the most part, I don't think about it that much. I give myself many hours a day to not think about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do too, Aaron. I mean, you're doing a lot of videos, but when you go to Busch Gardens, you're not thinking about it.
Yeah, for me, it's not an issue. Like, this almost goes back to the subject of burnout and whatever. Talking about Scientology to me isn't a chore, and it's not a preoccupation. If anything, the work that we do with the Aftermath Foundation, for me, doing videos about Scientology is sort of a nice, fun little way to always have an excuse to promote the Aftermath Foundation.
Yeah, same.
It's really putting a bunch of content out there so that when people who are thinking of leaving Scientology stumble upon to the internet, they see people talking about it who don't sound crazy, aren't talking about babies being, okay, I can't use words that YouTube will ding me in this video.
Yeah,
They're going to hear conversations where they're like, these guys actually know what they're talking about, and they're being fair and they're being honest. And so, and then they're more receptive to hearing, other things about Scientology. So that's really my goal. It's not a chore. I can do it. I cannot do it. We have a lot of downtime and playtime. How about that?
Yeah. And also when sometimes when you hear people talking about it, they're not real. I don't know how to explain it, but I've had a lot of people that have ended up leaving, or they just kind of like they're what the Scientologists call under the radar. Like they're not really doing Scientology, but they haven't like left officially. I've been contacted by a lot of those people that say, I was questioning, but when I heard you talking, you just sounded like a regular person, and like didn't necessarily have an agenda, or just sounded like a regular person. And then also I was saying things that they knew were fact from their experiences. And so I guess that kind of encourages me to do it more, because who knows, if this one silly YouTube video gets one person out, that was totally worth it. And spend an hour yapping.
Here's a funny example of a lot of contacts I've been getting lately. is people who have family members here on the training program currently happening at Flag,
Yep.
and they're freaking out because these people are sleeping all day. The people in the training program, they're
Yeah.
studying during night hours and they're sleeping during day hours. And Mark,
Which is ridiculous. There's no reason.
There's no end date currently scheduled for this training program. The trainees have no idea, and their trainees' family members, non-Scientologist family members, have no idea when these guys are coming home, and they're living an inhumane schedule. I know there are people who choose to work the third shift and whatnot, but those people are getting paid to work. These people are being forced to do this. These people aren't getting paid to do this.
I just watched this a show on FIFA and the World Cup, and they have this thing that they used in Qatar or Qatar to build all those stadiums, and they get these people from foreign countries because they don't have a workforce. They get these people to come in, and it's a whole system of slave labor that's like, it's kind of like an acceptable kind of jury slave labor thing that some of these countries participate in. It's exactly what Scientology does to the T. Like, they call it outer org trainees, but you could call it, I think it's called falafel, or there's a word for it, but it's a system in these countries. It's not falafel, but that's something else. I think that's
well, falafel, yeah, is like a bread or something.
Somebody knows what I'm talking about. Somebody somewhere.
I saw the same program you're talking about. First of all, John Oliver did a whole segment on it.
Yeah, that's not the one. That's not the one I saw, but I know he talked about it. But he talks about the exact same thing on that show. It was kind of funny. I think whatever video I saw, it was a YouTube video, so they cranked it out right away. I'm sure those John Oliver folks were working on that all week, and they're like, God, we got scooped by some YouTuber.
All right, here's another one. What do you guys think the % chance of Danny getting convicted as of now? I can't sugarcoat it. I'm going to be devastated if he's acquitted. What do you think?
It could go either way. You don't know. You don't know what those people
could go
are
either way. I'm currently saying 55% for conviction, 45 for acquittal.
What do you like, MGM betting? You and Jamie Foxx, you got over-unders on this thing?
Well, the thing is, they were deadlocked, right? Well, they were struggling, and then did you see the updates today? The jury came back in, and 2 of them tested positive for the Rona, and so they got swapped out and everything. So essentially, it's now
and one of them had strep.
Yeah,
it was 3. It was 3 of them got swapped, but
yeah.
But who's to say? Those could have been the not guilty folks trying to they went and they probably, they were like hanging out with as many Rona folks as they could so they could skedaddle out of there, get off the hook. I don't know. The other thing is that it doesn't matter. They could just retry the case. That could go both ways too.
Well, they can only retry the case if it gets hung jury.
Yeah, isn't that the same thing as deadlocked?
Yes.
So yeah, they can retry it.
They will if it gets deadlocked.
Oh, I see.
I misspoke. There's 0% chance Danny gets acquitted, in my opinion. He's either going to get convicted or they're going to be deadlocked. I don't think he gets acquitted. I said acquitted a moment ago by accident.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that's happening. I
don't think that's happening.
I think it's either deadlocked or he's guilty. Those are the 2 choices.
Yeah. And, I saw something. And anyway, if it's deadlocked, I think we're going to see them back in court in a few months. I saw someone reported 10 months. I don't think it can take that long based on the interviews I've been doing with Zach Morgan. But anyway, that's the answer to that question. Let's see. What else? Let me try to hunt. Give us some questions here, guys. I'm going to scroll through looking for one here.
Yeah, hit the like button. Aaron doesn't say it. Hit the like button. What do they say? Don't smash the subscribe button. Just check it. You don't have to smash anything. I don't know where the smashing came from. That's not a good thing. I work in the AV industry. I don't want you smashing any kind of screen whatsoever. Just touch it very gently.
Let's see. I mean, I should keep hunting for questions.
I do like that. Somebody said they love the nom 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 story. That is one of my favorite stories, by the way. That's a go-to. If somebody asks me about the int base, I usually pull that one out within the first 30 minutes. That's like it's happening.
So here's a question, and this is actually much more similar to what I was going to ask you earlier. People always ask, like, how do people who've been in the Sea Org for so long get out of the Sea Org and make their way in the world, professionally, earn a living and whatnot? And I was going to ask you, like, what skills? You had a very kind of niche job, or more than one niche jobs. I never know how to say that word in the Sea Org. Let's see. Do you think, Mark, in your experience, that Scientology has helped you in your work ethics? Okay, so there's that question, but I'm going to ask you a different version of it, which is, what were the skills you learned working at Golden Era Productions that you were able to use to make money?
Knowing how, like, I work in the audiovisual industry, so but there was a ton of people that worked with me that were dolts. Like, they just. I think it might be something specifically with me. Like, I have a photographic memory of sorts. So if I read a manual on a piece of equipment, then I can know how to use that piece of equipment in and out, backwards, forwards, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so when I was at headquarters, I would read equipment manuals, and in order to operate a piece of equipment in the Sea Org, you have to read the manual, and somebody has to quiz you on it in order for you just to, like, use it. Same thing for a car. If you want to drive a car, you have to read the car's operation manual, and you have to be quizzed on it. So I've probably read 500 manuals of audiovisual equipment, maybe even 1,000 by now. But I'm soaking up as much info as I can. In regards to audiovisual installations, I know every wrong way to do it based on being in Scientology. Because we were under the gun and this and that, and we had to cut corners and we had to do this. And so I know all the ways not to do it. And I also do know a lot of hacks on how to do stuff to get it done without, like, doing it the way maybe everybody else does it. But I think it's just a matter of muscle memory and just working so much. If you work, okay, that's another great point. In Scientology, or in the Sea Org, I'll say that, in the Sea Org, there's not a lot of, you're not allowed to mess around. There's no messing around. So if you have post or you have a job to do from 8:30 to noon, you better get in that many hours of work done. And where I worked, it was, we were making things, and it was a mathematical computation that this many things can be made in this amount of time. So there was no wiggle room. Like, we didn't even have time to go to the bathroom during that time unless we got a little bit ahead over a few hours. Then you could take a 5-minute bathroom break. But if you were behind, then you weren't going to the bathroom. That was just the way it was. So if you go to any workplace during the workday, people are on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Amazon. They ain't working. They're messing around. So if you just work during work time, you will get a lot more work done than pretty much just about anybody.
Yeah. So here's an answer that I have to this question, or a version of it. And this goes back to what I say of when I said earlier that I'm not quite sure whether Scientology deserves the credit for this, or if it's just common sense that I took away from the years spent in Scientology. And it's this. If I were to be like, okay, what is my formula for success? It's the mindset that what I'm going to do is get my foot in the door by any means possible. If that means accepting a job for free, then that's what it means. Blow everyone's socks off, make yourself invaluable so that they want to pay you to stay. It's an inverted viewpoint of what you generally get in society, which is, I'm not going to do more until you pay me to do it. I go, that's the best way to guarantee I'll never pay you to do it,
Yeah.
because you're not the kind of person I want working for me. You're not the kind of person I want to work with. Like, go above and beyond. Make them want you to stay. And I see, I don't know if Scientology deserves credit for that mindset. Like, you can take that mindset from anywhere.
Yeah. No, I mean that I agree with that 100%. I also agree with what one thing I try to do in my business dealings is I'm the straightest shooter you're going to run into. If there's some bullshit amok, I'm going to call it out. It doesn't matter. Certainly if it's my bullshit, like if there's something we should have done better, or there's something I'm not totally comfortable with leaving a certain way, I'll say, I'm not comfortable with this. We're going to do this to make this, amazing. But also, if there's other nonsense going around and everybody's just kind of like rolling with it and not saying anything, I'll be like, hey, by the way, are we going to talk about this over here? Like, there's no way we can leave that. We can't. Come on. And I'm usually with that with the client, even if there's somebody in between me and the client most of the time within working, the projects we do go for years. So we get to know people working on these projects. And usually people will I'll get smoked out as the straight shooter pretty quick. Like they'll be like, Mark, what about this? And I'll say, oh, okay, yeah. You know about that?
Yeah.
And I'll tell them the deal. But, and I found it's kind of a weird thing. Like nobody wants to, step outside their lane or step on anyone's toes. Everybody's just like, this is my thing, but their thing's going to mess up my thing. Like my thing's affected by this other guy's lane. If your lane is junk and I happen to veer into it, then it's not going to reflect good on my work. So
yeah. And so many people are just professional bullshitters.
totally.
And the people who are in the positions of power where they're shot callers, they're decision makers, they don't have any tolerance for that kind of bullshit. And the people who, one, aren't bullshitters, and two, are willing to call out other bullshit when they see it, they tend to kind of just, I want to say rise to the top, but I mean, like, they're going to be the go-to person. If you're going to lay off half the staff, you're not going to be on that list.
Yeah, totally. No, 100%. The other thing is that a lot of people that are, that are doing stuff in Scientology, they won in the Sea Org specifically, and at the base, they were these people that just head down, do their work, don't make waves, do your job, and nothing bad will happen to you. There's a ton of people like that in the Sea Org, and those people, they're still there. The people that were getting stuff done and that were a little bit not following all the rules all the time, or that were the go-to people, like if you want something done, this guy's the guy who's going to do it. Those guys are the one. We're here right now. We're on the outside now. So it's not, I wouldn't attribute it to them, because the people that are, I say the smart ones are the ones that are leaving. You got to, at some point, you got to put everything together and be like, I'm out. The other thing is that in the real world, I like to say the real world, but in regular life, I think people have this fear of what could possibly happen to them if they lose their job, or if they do this or this happens. So they don't take that many risks. I've already been to the bottom of the bottom. I've already, I've hit bedrock. When I was at the end base, I don't think I could have been any lower in my life than that. So everything is up from there. So who cares? Like, if I don't get, and it's kind of a viewpoint I've taken to my business, is if I don't get a certain job, or if I don't get a certain project, if I don't win it, or somebody else wins it, or if I get underbid, I'm just like, whatever, I'll get another job. There's other jobs out there. There's no shortage of work to do. So I'm not sort of hung up or stuck on doing anything a certain way, and that I have to do it. And it's, Aaron, life is we don't even have to try compared to what we were doing. I'm just saying, it's right for you. You don't even have to try.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't even consider that. Well, I don't even consider I was trying hard then, because, and maybe this is just we have a very unique selection sample. Like, I don't get burnt out from work. Do you know what I mean? I don't get burnt out from work.
Neither do I. I mean, if I go off to a site for 3 weeks, at the end of 3 weeks, I'm like, I want to go home. I want to get back. I want to sleep in my own bed again. But I'm not. If I have to stay there 2 more weeks, I'll stay 2 more weeks to get the job done. I will be uncomfortable, but I'll do the work. I'm not. I don't know. I just. I think if you do something that you feel is valuable, and you're willing to do that thing well, then it'll all work out. That's how I feel. If you produce a product that's usable, and that is of high quality, there is a market for that product.
Exactly.
And then you'll be fine.
Exactly.
If you're trying to skate by and do the least amount of work in life, and clocking in and clocking out, and then that's what you get. I don't know.
That's
I don't
right.
know how to
and
say.
Marc, and this is why sometimes I struggle with the chicken and the egg equation when we're having this conversation, is because it's probably not fair for me to say that I took those qualities from my Scientology experience, because there's plenty of people in Scientology who did what you're talking about. They were just doing the bare minimum, just trying to skate by. So it's almost like whatever personality traits or work ethics I'm talking about is part of what allowed me to succeed in Scientology. It's not necessarily what I took away from Scientology.
Exactly. I agree. And I also agree that since I've left, that's a great example. When I did certain things there that I knew were right, and they told me they were wrong, and I went against my own, I know this is the right way to do it, and I know what Scientology is saying is the way is wrong. That when I left, I was like, yeah, I knew it. Like, okay, I get it. Like, no, I knew what was going on, and now I'm just going to do more what my gut says or what I think, and screw that. And,
Yeah. I mean, it kills me now. Like you mentioned, back to what you said, like, is it not hard? You said we barely have to try. We certainly don't have to work as hard as we did then. And you make a ton of money, whereas in the Sea Org you make nothing. It kills me to know how many young people in their 20s, 30s, early 40s are working 100 hours a week, making $50 a year, when those people could be doing something very similar in the real world, making 6 figures, and they don't even know it.
And love it, and be happy.
And
that's
have
another
vacations
thing.
And families, and
Scientology is like the Sea Org specifically. For somebody who doesn't know about Scientology, the Sea Org is like a never-ending episode of Survivor, where everybody else on the island is trying to get you fucking kicked off the island, and you're trying to do your job, and you have all these people that are trying to step on you to get up, and if they could get you kicked off the island, they would in a second. And I just had 15 years of that. So you know how to navigate. I've become very proficient at navigating nonsense. That's what it is. Like, I could spot nonsense from a mile away. I go like,
that's a great way of putting it.
Look at this guy. Oh my gosh. Don't think so. Or when somebody does something, like, when people play politics, like they do something, you're just like, oh, please, bitch. I'm like fucking expert level 10,000. I will fuck your shit up. Don't even play that game with me.
All right, here's one. If someone who had not been heard from in years, like Heber Jensch, passed away, would Scientology announce it, or would you just hear it through the grapevine? Go ahead, Marc. What do you say?
Oh, that's a public records check. That's the only way that info's getting out.
Well, sometimes you'll see an in memoriam on someone who you didn't even realize was still alive.
Inside Scientology.
That's what they mean.
Oh, yeah. So, but I don't think.
Oh, wait,
like,
I think that's what they mean. That's how
well,
I
they're
read
saying
it.
if someone who hadn't been heard from in years, like Heber passed away, Scientology would not announce it to the outside world. That ain't happening.
So, but I understood it to mean the other way. Would they announce it to the members?
Depends on who it is, really.
Yeah.
But I don't think.
I got to say, these days, I feel more and more like they wouldn't bother.
No, especially like Heber. Heber was a 90s guy. They don't know. Nobody knows who Heber is.
Yeah, we've helped people leave Scientology who do not know who Heber Jench is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally. And, yeah, I don't think it would matter. I don't think they would. I don't think they. Well, to tell you the truth, Scientology ain't announcing shit right now, because as soon as they announce something, we got people in all over the place. We got people inside the orgs on different occasions, and they'll just take a picture of that little announcement, and then it'll be on the internet tomorrow. So
Yeah.
they don't announce squat. They're keeping everything close to the vest. Even the silly things that you know about, like that they're doing at Flag, they're not announcing these things. They're just happening. You know, the people that are involved know about it, but we're getting leaks. That place is leaking like a sieve. It's all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone in the chat loves the Headleys. Aaron, will you be having Nasty Nathaniel on sometime? Oh, definitely. I want to interview Nathaniel about his First Amendment audit videos. He does these at Scientology orgs. He's done a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, that'll be a good time and a fun interview. And let's see, there's one here. Is there something brand new that you learned or experienced recently that you had not experienced prior because of Scientology? I mean, we've been out for a while now.
Yeah, I've been out since 2005. So, fun, mostly just fun stuff. Okay, I've been on a cruise. I've been to Paris. I've been to England. I went to England when I was there too, when I worked there. But traveling.
Yeah, traveling's a big one. You know, since leaving Scientology, I have been to Scotland, England, Vienna, Milan, Moscow, Beijing, Tokyo. I haven't gone to Ireland. I'm dying to go to Dublin. Sometimes they have great flights to Dublin. I might just jump on a flight and go to Dublin for a weekend or something. Mexico, of course, the Bahama Islands. We've gone a bunch. What is it? Belize.
ABCs, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao. We've been to Atlantis, whatever that place is. Bahamas.
Yeah, traveling is
I'd say that was the biggest thing.
Travel.
I'll tell you the biggest thing for me, kids. Because you're not allowed to have kids in the Sea Organization. So I think that's the most awesome thing. It's just having kids. And then also, like, now that my kids are 16, 14, and 9. So thinking that, like, my 16-year-old, when I was his age, I had already joined the Sea Org and I was already working 100 hours a week when I was his age. And would I let him do that? No way in a million years.
Yeah.
And how our parents were just insane.
Yeah. To even say something like, "Oh, you wanted to do it." Nobody wants to do that shit. They want to play baseball and watch movies and, you know, go to the park. That's what kids want to do.
Yeah.
You make them work in the mines, eventually they're going to figure out how to have fun working in the mines. And then 20 years later, you'd be like, but you wanted to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. It's like, oh my goodness. I found a yearbook from one of my Scientology schools, and I had I went to Clearwater for the summer and I did some courses. And my mom and I never got along when I was a kid. Like, just never. The first time, somebody says I'm leaning into the mic. The first time I ever got like an encouraging word from her was when I went to Clearwater, Florida, to Scientology headquarters to do some courses for the summer. And she was like, well done, very well done on your trip to Flag this summer. And I looked at it and I was like, unbelievable. This is the first time it was like, and I was like, oh, she likes me all of a sudden. Like, amazing.
We had a whole segment, me and Andrew Gold, in the video that we did today, discussing the phrase very well done and how Nazanin Boniadi pissed off Tom Cruise by saying very well done to him. Right? Because it sounded a little condescending, right?
Yeah, that's what she said.
So for you to, and I was explaining to Andrew, I was like, no, Andrew, very well done is a very specific phrase in Scientology.
That's what my mom wrote. She said, to Marc, welcome home and very well done on your flag and ship courses. That's what she said.
There you
go. Much love. That's another thing, Scientology. They always write at the end of any document that they send, they write much love. Like, yeah, no love. How about that? No love.
I like how when you get a report and it's totally ripping you an asshole for like 2,500 words.
And it says much love.
Much love.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. A knowledge report ends with much love. Like, no.
And isn't that because that's how Miscavige signs his letters and everybody started signing them like him? Or did LRH do that?
I'm not sure where that came from, but it's definitely a format thing.
Yeah.
Did Hubbard? Yeah, I don't know.
I never saw it from Hubbard. I always thought it was a Miscavige thing.
It might be. Does anyone know? No.
Nope.
That's the thing.
That's
the thing I didn't realize until I was in the Sea Org from 1989 to 2005, at the Imp Base from 1990 to 2005. When in like 2003, 2004, we started going to these orgs and installing the audiovisual systems for that whole org. And you would find out that the staff are making less money than the Sea Org members. And I was like, how is that possible? Like, how do you live a life out? Because in the Sea Org, we're getting free food and free berthing. And that's pretty much it. Everything else, like if you want a snack, if you want a Snickers, it comes out of your $45 a week. That's how that works. Any expenses you have are coming out of that paycheck. And when you go to the orgs, they have to pay for their food, they have to pay for their living, and they have to pay for their, Snickers and everything, all out of that money. And sometimes they're making $20 a week. You find out like, oh, we only got $20 this week. And you go like, don't you have kids? Like, how do you live? You have kids. How are you feeding your kids?
Yeah, being in the Sea Org is easier than being on staff.
Yeah, but so then you talk to them, you talk to the staff, and they're like, oh, well, I work at, and this is a big thing in Scientology. Oh, I work at Billy Bob. There's a millionaire Scientologist in the bunch that doesn't work there, but he's like a public. He's just a member. He doesn't work there, and he gives everybody jobs on the side. So they work just until dinner, and then they have the night off. And that night off, he's paying them. He would probably have to pay somebody. Let's just say he has to pay everybody $25 an hour, but he knows he can pay these Scientology people $15 an hour or $10 an hour, and they'll do it happily. One night is worth more than a week's pay. So they'll work every night for him after they get done at the Scientology org. Oh yeah, there it is. And that's what's called moonlighting. And so all these Scientology companies, they're supposed to be a member of WISE, and that's how Scientology gets a little bit of money out of them too. Because otherwise, they just kind of feed off of the Scientology work pool. And they do this to this day. If you're in the Sea organization, let's say you're in the Sea organization at Flag and you and your wife gets pregnant and you get kicked out of the Sea Org. There's all these Scientology companies just waiting to hire you because they know you've been making $45 a week for the last 10 years, and they're going to pay you $5.75 an hour. And you're just like, whoa. And so a lot of these, like down in Clearwater, they have one, American Power and Gas. That's that Tom.
There's a ton of them.
Well, I know, but that guy, my sister, had a kid, had to leave the Sea Org. Her and her husband live down in Clearwater, and she works for that dude. And he's a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire. I don't know. He's got some dough. He's got a few bucks.
Yeah.
The guy who run. But I don't know how much he's paying them compared to everybody else he's paying. But it's probably not the best job in the world, but it's way better than they were making in the Sea Org.
Yeah. Let me see this. Barbara Godding. Aaron, you look very disinterested in what Mark is saying. I'm sorry, Mark.
I didn't know. I don't give a shit.
The thing is,
I'm talking for the. I'm here for the people. That's the other thing. You know, Aaron and I, we're not watching everyone else's Scientology blogs because we were there. We know what happened. Yeah, this is for you guys.
The chat stream is over here on the side of the screen. So if I'm looking at the chat, I'm not looking at the camera or Mark. It doesn't mean I'm not paying attention.
Hey, take it easy, Barb. Take it easy, Barb. You know, Aaron and I have had Aaron and I, we've worked together. We've had vacations together. Our kids hang out together. So we're good. Whether Aaron looks disinterested or not, it doesn't hurt my feelings.
All right. Well, we've been going for almost an hour here. That's probably a good place. We're at 56 minutes, so that's an hour.
Someone said you had resting chat face.
That's a good one. Hey, guys. So I'm going to be moving into a new recording space soon. You might see my wall change. I'm building a pallet wall in the new recording space so that I keep my background, although I'll probably be getting rid of the couch behind me. So that'll be cool.
Is that a pallet wall?
Yeah, that's a pallet wood wall. That's real.
I've got a whole bunch of pallets. I could get me a pallet wall.
It takes a lot of pallets. So instead of disassembling a bunch of pallets, I just go to a pallet wood place and I say, give me 200 pallets. You know, I pay like $1 per pallet. Give me some pallet slats. I'll pay you $1 per slat.
Oh, so they're already pre-stripped and everything. You're not taking pallets apart.
No. So I started to take pallets apart the first time I did it, and I was like, no way, dude. This is going to take forever. So then I just found a place that would sell it to me. And then I forgot that I had gone through that process. So I started doing the same thing again. I was like, wait a second. Now I remember what I did. I just bought the damn wood. So I found a place to buy the wood again.
I've got 3 boys. So if I need some pallets ripped apart, I'm like, hey, I got a stack of pallets out behind the shop. You guys, get some hammers.
That's right. You might have your own pallets. You can't go to Home Depot and take their pallets anymore. They used to let you take them from the back, but don't do it. Don't do it, fellas. It's not. They don't let you do that anymore.
Go to Walmart. Walmart will let you have as many as you want.
Okay, cool. What else? Let's not ever end a Mondays with Mark without plugging our bobbleheads. Mike Rinder. Bobbleheads.
See, look, mine's good. See,
your picture sucks right now, but I can still tell it's a Mike Rinder bobblehead. All right, so here I'll put up the little banner. Hold up.
Yeah, we could do this for
actually. Mark Headley.
Do a screenshot.
I don't know how to do a screenshot on my MacBook.
You go Shift Command 4.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to try to do that with one hand.
Well,
wait,
you got to frame your stuff.
Calm down. Okay. That's a pretty good one. Okay. Well, I just did Shift Command 4. I'm not sure if anything happened or not.
Well, now it's going to allow you to draw your mouse around what you want to screenshot.
Oh. Oh, yeah, you're right. Wait, hold on. I got to get Mr. Googly Eyes to stand still here. There we go. Bada bing. Okay. Trying. Boom. Okay, I got him.
That's how to do a screenshot. Shift Command
Marc,
4.
I'm not sure how many people. Marc actually is the one who runs the SP shop. When you buy merch, it's shipping from his warehouse where he's sitting right now.
And I'm the one, in most cases, I'm sticking that little bauble in a box. And I'm I mean, this is a one-man operation here. To be fair, Claire does process the order. So she prints the label, but I'm the one who takes it to the post office. And so I just got to tell you one quick story before. We were selling books, and we had paperbacks and we had hardbacks, and we were signing them. So on the signed paperbacks, I would have to, once they get in an envelope, you can't really tell what's in there, if it's signed or not. So I wrote SP on the ones that were signed paperbacks. And we got an email from somebody saying, I think Scientology's in my mailbox. They know what I'm doing. And I was like, why? And they're like, my signed book arrived and it said SP on it. I was like, I wrote that on that, you bonehead. Signed paperback. Take it easy. Scientology's not going through your mail.
Oh, that's great.
Anyway, go to the SP shop, get yourself an SP bracelet.
Mine's around here somewhere.
There we go. SP bracelet. Aaron, he's got to dig it out of a drawer somewhere. SP bracelet
because I never wear it. I just
and a bobblehead. These things aren't going to be around forever. No. I don't know that we're going to make another batch after this batch. This might be the last batch. We'll see.
It was a big batch.
It was a big batch. Well, because we sold so many so fast, I was like, well, I think this is actually the third batch we've made. Now that I think of it, I can't remember. Anyway, really cool. And these are like Scientology kryptonite. If you have one of these, Scientologists can't talk to you. They can't do anything. This little guy, he's like a voodoo doll for Scientologists. It wards them off like a demon, like a little anti-Scientology little. What do they call those things? There's a name for them.
I like demon.
This is a little Scientology demon. All
right, cool.
If you have one of these, you're not gonna have nonsense. You're gonna navigate nonsense right out of your life.
All right, everybody, have a splendid night. We will see you next Monday with Mondays with Marc. Bye-bye.
Bye.